So, let's talk about Buddhism, shall we? As we move forward on the timeline, you can't leave out this very long-lived religion based upon a combination of traditions, beliefs, and practices. During this lecture, please make sure you put away all unnecessary distractions such as cell phones, tablets, and all those other items that do nothing but prevent you from doing well. Get rid of them for 20 minutes. You will survive. There is no single worksheet for this particular lecture. However, there is a section from your foldable map that is titled Buddhism. Use this lecture to help you answer those questions on that particular panel. As usual, if you have any questions by the end of the lecture, please let me know, and we'll get those figured out for you in short order. And with that, let's get moving. Last unit, we discussed the fact that Judaism started around 2000 BCE, while Buddhism is another one of those extremely old religions that still exists today. Believed to have started around the 3rd or 4th century BC, it still has a following of an estimated 350 to 550 million people, mostly living on the Indian subcontinent. Here we can see a depiction of Buddha. Many people see images or statues like this and think people are worshiping an idol. Nothing can be farther from the truth, actually. Buddhists sometimes pay respect to images of the Buddha, not in worship, nor to ask for favors. A statue of Buddha, with hands rested gently in its lap, with a compassionate smile, reminds us to strive to develop peace and love within ourselves. Bowing to the statue is an expression of gratitude for the teachings. This particular statue is from the 1800s in the country of Thailand, which isn't part of the Indian subcontinent, by the way. Here we can see a Pakistani depiction of Buddha's head, which was created from around 100 CE. The 2nd century. All right, now it's time for some details and get into the essence of Buddhism and what it all entails to follow the faith. So, the essence of Buddhism can be characterized as the middle way of wisdom and compassion. It has been a tradition for over 2,500 years, as we mentioned before. And within this tradition, there are what are called 3 jewels of Buddhism. Buddha, who is the teacher, Dharma, the teachings of Buddha, and Sangha, the community of followers. The Sangha are usually seen as monks in orange togas, the ones you see on TV or movies sometimes, that are obviously Buddhist monks. So, exactly who is or what is Buddha? Well, from what we know, he went by the name of Siddhartha Gautama and lived roughly from 563 to 483 BCE. Born in northeast India, known today as Nepal, he was raised into a life of great luxury with a future of becoming a king. However, at the ripe age of 29, he rejected his luxurious life to see enlightenment as in the source of suffering. To accomplish this, he lived a strict, ascetic life for 6 years, meaning that he chose to live a life of self-denial, of life's luxuries. That's like you as a student, choosing to learn the values of what it means to be an individual by getting rid of your phone and ditching your friends. Learning what it means to be who you are without everybody else and everything else telling you that for you. Figuring it out for yourself. Eventually, he rejected that kind of life and instead decided to sit and meditate for a very long time. In doing so, he found what's called nirvana. And I don't mean the band Nirvana with Kurt Cobain. At 35, tradition states that he became known as the Enlightened One. Now, sometimes people might ask themselves, what causes suffering? Maybe you ask yourself that, I don't know. Well, Siddhartha Gautama broke it down to one thing: desire. And the solution is to extinguish the self and don't obsess about oneself. In other words, don't obsess about things you want or don't have. It will only cause suffering. In his studies, Siddhartha learned that there are 4 noble truths. The first truth is that there is suffering in the world. To live is to suffer. This belief is known as dukkha. The Buddha found this early on when he was young and experienced this suffering through the forms of death and other types of ways of how he was looking at himself and how happy he was, which brought him to discover this first of the Noble Truths. The second truth, the cause of suffering, is self-centered desire to attachments. This truth is known as tanaya, the idea that you are full of yourself because of what you desire and what you want, the things that you want and the attachments you need from other people, that you will be suffering because of those items. The third noble truth is that the solution to Nobles 1 and 2 is to eliminate those attachments. This is known as nirvana, which translates to extinction. That's right, make your desires and attachments extinct. Get rid of them. And the last of the 4 truths, to reach nirvana, one must follow the Eightfold Path. So besides the 8 truths, there's also a path you have to take to better yourself. Notice that the Eightfold Path is done in a certain order. Notice that the Noble Truths are done in the strict order. Well, the Eightfold Path is very similar. Based upon the chart you see here, the Eightfold Path is broken into wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental development. And these are broken up into 8 smaller areas. Having the right view, the right intentions, the right speech, the right action, right livelihood, the right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Being able to do these items will better yourself, to better understand yourself, and live a happier, less stressful, or less troublesome life, according to Buddha. Accomplishing all this, you might find yourself in nirvana if you get there, which is the union with the ultimate spiritual reality. You have escaped the rebirth. One tool that is used by those seeking nirvana is the Mandala, which is the wheel of life. This motif symbolizes a map of the universe from the human perspective. It's used to teach meditation and patience, and I think we can all use a little bit more teachings like this, being able to be patient through the use of silent meditation to discover oneself better. Just a thought. These motifs are usually created using individual grains of sand. A Buddhist would use this to meditate or to reach some sort of a trance state, which would put him into a better mindset of how he can better understand himself. As you can see from the image to the right, creating a mandala takes time and requires a lot of patience.